Hello everyone and welcome back to Cozy Flannel Recipes, where today we're having the nice summery dish of simple steak tacos. To start, we're going to marinate our steak by combining 1/2 cup of olive oil, 1/4 cup soy sauce, 1 teaspoon black pepper, half a tablespoon of salt, 1 teaspoon chili flakes, 1 teaspoon cumin, and 1/4 cup of lime juice, about 1 lime's worth. Give these a good whisk together. I didn't do it here, but you can add a little bit of lime zest for a little extra citrus kick. Next, let's move on to the steak. You can use almost any cut, but I'm going to go with a London broil steak. Something lean is good for this recipe. We're going to poke holes in this steak with a fork. This is going to help the steak get more tender as the marinade permeates the meat. After this, we pour our marinade on and make sure it is evenly coated, then give it a little massage. Not a, "Are you still mad at me? Please forgive me, I'm tired of sleeping on the couch" kind of massage, but more of a, "I'm kind of tired now, but I want to score some brownie points" kind of massage. Once this is done, in the fridge it goes for at least 4 hours and up to 2 days. Now you can use store-bought tortillas if you want, but in all honesty, the homemade ones are quite a bit better tasting, and they're also rather easy to make. The best method I have found is to use a food processor. In said processor, we are adding 240 grams of all-purpose flour with 2 tablespoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of table salt. Give that a couple of pulses before adding 48 grams or roughly 3 tablespoons of your fat of choice. I'm going with olive oil here. Pulse that for a little while, and when the mixture resembles wet sand, slowly add up to 3/4 of a cup of warm water, roughly 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Add the water while you're mixing it until a cohesive ball of dough forms. Wrap this tightly in plastic wrap and let it sit at room temperature for 30 minutes. Wipe down your work surface, and while that is sitting, let's move on to our pico de gallo salsa. There are many iterations of this, but this is the one I enjoy most. 3 tomatoes on the vine, sans vine of course, diced very small, 2 jalapenos, seeds and pith discarded, also diced very small. Half of an onion, red is typical, but I like Spanish onion, so I'm going with that, also diced small. I want a large diversity of vegetation in every bite, so I'm cutting everything as small as I can without mashing it. You can of course throw all of these ingredients into a food processor, but it will come out pulpy with more juice at the bottom than I would prefer. 2 large cloves of garlic, diced super small, and then lemon juice. First we roll the lemon to make the squeezing easier, making sure no lemons escape in the ensuing action. Sorry lemon, but that's the breaks. You're gonna be in salsa. Sorry, there's nothing I can do. We already held the court-martial. Squeeze half a lemon's worth into the salsa, and I'm also going to add a dash of white wine vinegar. Then for spices, I'm adding a shake of cumin, a pinch of cayenne, and a couple twists of black pepper after I have compensated for the wind, and a pinch of salt. Then of course, the ingredient in most salsas, the king of guacamole and all things that taste like soap, cilantro. To me it actually does taste like soap, but in small doses I actually really like it, especially in dishes like this. I'm adding about 1/3 of a cup's worth chopped. Then start mixing before you realize you have made the mistake of putting everything in a too small a bowl. I mean, seriously, has any home cook ever chosen the proper size bowl on first try? I mean, at this point it's basically tradition, and who am I to argue with tradition? After we mix our salsa, we are left with the brilliance of taste that equals the color. Now, due to the sun playing hide and seek with the clouds, and the mosquitoes calling in reinforcements, I am forced back inside. At this time, our tortilla dough is rested and ready to be worked. Liberally flour a work surface, then tear off small lumps of dough and roll them into a ball in your hands, then on a floured surface, roll these balls into a tortilla. For a normal taco, about 8 to 10 inches in size, we want a golf ball sized piece of dough. However, we're going to be going slightly smaller than that. After it is rolled out, lightly coat it with flour and repeat with the remaining dough. Heat a cast iron or non-stick skillet on high heat with no oil. When the pan is ripping hot, put in your tortilla and heat until you see bubbles form and inflate, about 30 seconds, and then flip. The bottom should have dark brown or black spots on it. Cook another 30 seconds, look again for dark spots, and then set aside on a plate and cover with a clean towel to keep warm. Repeat with the remaining tortillas and watch the stack grow. Now we come to our steak. There are 2 ways to do this. Method 1 is cook the steak as you normally would, either by grilling or reverse searing, however you would normally do a steak, and then rest it and cut it very thinly. Method 2 is what I'm doing here. Put the steak in the freezer for about 15 minutes to make it easier to handle and easier to cut, Then grabbing your nearest scimitar, cut the steak as thin as you can across the grain. When you have all the little pieces, you can toss them in a little bit of extra marinade for added flavor. Then cook the strips of steak in a pan with olive oil at the smoking point, and don't crowd the pan like I did here. Throw the pieces into the pan, cook for about 30 seconds, undisturbed, then stir, cook for a few more seconds, and remove. And now it's time to plate up. First, let's find a photogenic tortilla. You there, you with the spherical dark spots. Yes, you'll do nicely. Stack on your steak. Apparently I like steak. And top with your salsa. Apparently I also like salsa. Now, you could add cheese or any number of garnishes, but trust me and try this recipe just as is. Taco, steak, salsa. There's an understated brilliance in this recipe that really lets you appreciate it. The soft chewiness of the warm tortilla, the delightful fireworks of the salsa, the meaty meat of the meat. It all really has plenty of flavor and is beautifully balanced. Crooked Smile approved. So let's talk for a quick minute about marinades. Marinades, of course, are when you soak meat in a solution of mixed flavors, generally with an acid or enzyme to both flavor and tenderize the meat. It's important to note that a marinade adsorbs to the meat rather than absorbing, meaning that it sticks to the surface. Marinating is a very old technique, first consciously used to soak meat in seawater to preserve it. Mare being the Italian word for sea, as you can see its relation towards like mariner. It's been used for centuries. One of the earliest examples we know is in pre-Columbian Mexico, where the natives would wrap meat they were cooking in papaya leaves before cooking, which would cause the meat to be tenderized, which they noticed caused the meat to be more tender when they ate it. What they didn't know at the time was that the papaya leaves had an enzyme called papain, which is now commercially available as a meat tenderizer. Enzymes and acids tenderize the meat by essentially pre-digesting the protein molecules they come in contact with. Proteins, of course, in the case of animals, are large muscles connected together by chains of amino acids. The enzymes essentially cut these bonds and break the proteins into smaller sections, making them easier to chew. A side note, the enzymes in fruits and vegetables can be inactivated by high heat, which is why it's common practice to blanch fruits and vegetables before freezing them, as it preserves the color by stopping the action of the enzyme. Lemons and limes, as you might imagine, are quite healthy, one lemon containing 51% of your daily needed intake of vitamin C. In fact, British ships in the 1800s carried quantities of limes to prevent scurvy on long voyages due to lack of fresh fruits and vegetables and the long shelf life of lime juice. This gave way to the nickname of the British limeys. Citric acid has been proven to help prevent kidney stones by increasing urine pH, creating a less favorable environment for kidney stones to form. And believe me, if there's a set of neighbors you don't want moving in, it's probably the kidney stones. Lemons also help with iron. While lemons contain a little iron, their big contribution is providing a catalyst to improving the absorption of iron from plants. Iron from meat is easily absorbed in the gut, but iron from plants is very difficult for the body to extract. The lemons help this process extremely. This dish, I am happy to say, is a fairly healthy one, with the salsa being a large source of vitamin C and a large variety of vegetables. The dish is high in lean protein, and 2 tacos will only run you 408 calories, which on the graph being 26% fat, 35% carbs, and 39% protein, with 2.5 grams of fiber. I'm going to put this on the middle right of the scale. Hey everyone, thanks for watching my video again. What did you think? If you happen to make these tacos, please let me know. Let me know which method you use to cook your steaks with. Anyways, I'll be back again soon with another cozy flannel recipe. In the meantime, stay thankful, stay humble, stay cozy. God bless. Liberally flour a work surface. Put a bunch of flour onto a work surface and then put your dough on top of that.